I just want to show the property we're starting on today. This hasn't been maintained all summer long. A lot of this grass is going to be getting redone. We're going to basically scrape this what's here right out. It hasn't had irrigation now for 6 or 7 years. What's here now is almost like a hay, but we're going to be mowing it just to get control of things. We're going to be shaping the trees, trimming everything back, pruning them all the way around. All these trees got to get knocked way back. All the flower type stuff is coming out. He doesn't want any flowers at this point. It's got some invasive vines and weeds in here, but I just thought I'd show where we're starting. Around this generator we got to get really knocked back in the back of it, because that's where all the controls are and they got to service it. This is a property I had before, but even when the last 3 or 4 years I had it, they didn't have me doing anything besides just keeping it knocked back. They weren't paying any extras. That's why I stepped away from it. Now a new person owns it, and he got my name through some people, so here we are. Again, we're going to be mowing that, but this is actually going to be a project where we're going to, he owns pretty far up that hill, but we're going to go back about 14 feet from this curb, and we're going to run a row of probably Christmas trees or something that the deer won't bother across the whole back of that, just to give it a backdrop, instead of, because he doesn't want to maintain that whole hill. So he wants to just we're going to go from the curb in with bark mulch. We're getting rid of a lot of this grass. All these islands, I believe, are going to be bark mulch instead of grass, but all these bushes are just overgrown. So like I said, we're going to be popping some out, trimming some back. Over here is where the drainage for most of the parking lot, like as far as the snow removal, this is where all the snow goes. We're just going to knock this down with a weed eater today. We're getting rid of the grass on the back of that. We're going to trim these trees up a little bit. When we're done, this is just going to be a new erosion stone right from the edge of the hot top out. We're going to dig this all out and probably put some gravel in, and then new erosion stone, and we're going to bring the grade up, because the drainage grate that's over there is still a little higher than the ground is, so it has to get filled with water about 8 inches before it accepts it. We're going to try to keep care of that problem, but I just thought I'd show a before and after. We're going to get started today. We basically got to get it knocked down and just come up with we kind of came up with a game plan already on some of the areas, but just getting the trees knocked back and the garden cleaned out. The gardens are all getting taken apart enough. All this river rock's coming out. Someone that had it for a couple years just came in here with salt sand and just blasted it, and I'll show you, it filled the garden. Rather than mess with that, I'm just going to pull it out all the way around the buildings the same way. It's also been filled with organics over the years enough so there's weed issues. So we're going to be ripping all that stuff out, but I just thought I'd do an opening and we'll go from there. We're hacking it down. It's bad. I know last summer the guy that was doing it only did it, I think he only mowed this 3 times all last summer. I'm going to be here probably 4 days getting things knocked down to where we can get a better look at what we got to do. A little bit of snow damage in that one big tree there. Everything here has got to get knocked back 2 to 3 feet. This is the highway side. Too bad, there's still some nice, flowers and stuff. But I just want to show you out front here. We're just going to knock this down. This is actually state property from about this big tree forward. But all this stuff's got to get knocked. I mean, some of these got to get knocked back 5 feet probably. We are going to take this big clump of trees here. I used to keep these trimmed up until about 6 years ago when I was doing it. Then these really haven't been touched for 6 years. The company that owned this before it went out of business was just trimming the fat everywhere, and they could care less about the lawn maintenance. Hopefully by the end of the day it looks a little less like something that went out of business. We knocked this down pretty good. Pretty nasty. When the grass gets crappy like that, it turns into like a hay. It's very difficult to mow, and you want to pick it up. But we did around those big trees, both sides of the entry here. A lot of rocks we had to pick up. We're gonna be digging all this erosion stone out. It's just got full of dirt, so it's really not doing what it's supposed to do. It used to let the water, when there's downpours, I know because I kept care of this building for so many years, when we have torrential downpours, the water that comes down through here sometimes will be wider than what this rock is, and it will come right down through hard. It used to dig out the ground. I mean, they'd lose like 8 yards of material when this thing really took off. So I put that stone in there probably about 12 years ago or more. And then it comes down to where the state property is, and then they got a drainage ditch there. Got everything mowed. This hillside looks a lot better. Like I said, this is state property, but we've always kept care of it. When I kept care of it, the last people didn't, it's obvious. But that makes this property look better. This week we'll pick at getting those trees trimmed up. I just thought I'd take a shot where we ended up today. This is the first step we got to do, but we're going to be doing a lot of plantings here, and all new grass. Every bit of the grass we just mowed's coming out and new grass is going in. It's just gone too far. A lot of moss, a lot of weed issue. It's to the point where they shut the irrigation off quite a few years ago. Most of the loom's gone. I mean, there's very little. If you look at it, it ain't the prettiest looking. Rather than trying to get this to grow good grass again, I'm just going to scrape it out and put 4 inches of new loom in. And I believe these islands are going to be bark mulch, and we're going to cut the grass off probably about at that white birch tree, and then down near the generator is either going to be stone or bark mulch. It's going to go up into that wood line. It's actually a pretty big job because with the irrigation, these trees have outgrown their space, and it's actually pushing the irrigation up out of the ground. So I gotta play around with that as I'm doing stuff here, but not bad. I think we've been here a little better than 2 hours. Those were definitely worth coming out. We've been here a couple times. We've already hauled off 3 trailer loads out of here, but we're trying to get everything knocked down, shaped the best we can. We decide after to pull something out, we will, but right now the first step of the job is just cleaning some of the stuff up. You know, getting it knocked back to where we can tell where the garden's got to be. Over there we cleaned out behind the generator because they got to service that. I got one more big bush, and there's some trees going behind this air conditioning unit, but I cleaned that out a lot. But everything here is just got to get knocked back, redone. All the bark mulch is getting scraped out. Back here's a mess. Some of that might get pulled out. We'll see what happens. All right, I just want to show we've attacked it a little bit more. Those there, I'm not going to trim back any further than that. This one here I knocked back. All this flowering stuff he wants out. He wants all evergreens. That one there is kind of ugly, but I think that will come back. It's just going to take a year. They're working on the building right now. I don't know when he plans on having an opening, but I think now these are trimmed back, that will come back around quite a bit. We still got 2.5 months of real good weather. We'll probably come back tomorrow and do these. We'll see. I know out back we got to get that generator cleaned up pretty good because someone's coming to service it. But like I said, all this rock's coming out. All we're doing right now at this step of the job is just trimming stuff back, stuff near the road. We knocked it way back. I hope he's not one of those guys that's like, oh, that's ugly, rip it out, because then we'll look real good next year. There's just, you got to knock them back. It hadn't been done for 5 or 6 years. That brown, you just go in there with the hand snippers and snip that. That rhododendron that's around that sign, I think I'm just going to knock the height down. He wants nice grass out here, but he wants the minimal amount. So all these trees, this garden's going to be all one. These were originally just circle bark mulch underneath them. He wants to connect that all as one garden, or I do, and he agreed. We're going to be dragging all this old bark mulch out. But I just thought I'd take a shot. We're pruning the trees back, making them look a little bit better. A lot of these had bad snow damage from 2 years ago that never got kept care of. There was a lot of broken branches. There's still one in that one I got to get. I just got to bring a ladder. This is going to be all bark mulch when we're done. But all this bark mulch has got so much organic in it now because no one's cleaned the leaves up in quite a few years. So that electrical panel we got to knock back. This here, we're just going to pretty up, stone along in the back of the building the same way. It's just too full of crap. The guy that plowed it the last 2 seasons too just backed up and blasted this wicked sand in them. Back here, Probably 2 or 3 of those trees are just going to get cut right off at the stump, and then all this is going to be bark mulch. And like I said, back here he just wants to clean it up once, bark mulch it, and then probably every 2 years we'll address it. That's the control panel for the irrigation. This is town water, but they put a well in for the irrigation, which was probably not a bad idea. Like I said, we got to knock this back. We're probably going to start in this corner tomorrow morning. Then we got to decide what the next step will be and go from there. I just want to show we're getting things somewhat shaped up, cleaned up. There's a couple stumps back there, a clump of trees that grew I'm going to pull out. These ain't going to look the best for a while, but I knocked them back enough to get them away from the building. All these flowers were popping out next week. It's all going to be evergreen stuff. Out here we knocked these back. Again, I'm hoping he's going to be happy with that. They're going to look a little funky for a while, but they were just so bad. The next step out here is we'll probably come in with the excavator with the clean out bucket and just scrape the top of this stuff off. There's a lot of root system in that bark mulch. I think I'm just going to rip out and start over. The end of this little island we cleaned up. That's about as good as I'm going to get that for right now. Over here, I don't know if, I believe I took a pretty good picture of this before, but we actually got rid of some pretty good trees over here. I'll do a quick walk around, but I'll show you the stumps there. A couple big ones there. One up there. They were just the snow damage the last 2 winters. They were just broke up too bad. I don't want to waste my time trying. They weren't going to look good for a long time. That whole island there, the grass is coming out. The corner where that dumpster is, that's all going to be erosion stone, because that's where we're going to stop putting the snow in the winter. All that stuff down there is just flowers, and then we're all getting popped out. We got one shrub here to trim. All these flowers are coming out. One more shrub there. We're hoping I can knock it back and shape it. There was a couple of the bushes in here that were broke off from snow load last year. We just made those disappear today. We'll shape them up a little bit better. This one here needs to get shaped up. Out here we just got to do the 2 trees that are in right when you enter into this building. Them going to get knocked back a little bit. And we got one more shrub here. But overall, this stone's getting, this river rock's all getting dug out. All that ornamental grass is coming out. He doesn't want that anymore. I mean, I ain't a big fan of it neither. Like, that ain't gonna look pretty this year. I don't think he's opening this business till next year. When give that a season to grow, that would be fine. I also found there's a pretty good hornet's nest in there. That's why I stopped where I stopped. I got to trim that up a little bit nicer, but we stopped because the hornets got to tick them off this morning. All this is coming out, and like I said, this little island here is going to be all bark mulch. We trimmed that tree up. Every tree here was just, everything here was neglected for 5 or 6 years. That birch tree don't look the best, but it looks better than it did. So other than that, I just thought I'd take a shot where we're at, give you an idea what we hauled out of just probably from this birch tree to the other side of this generator over to that lift. Was 3 loads of heavy loads of brush that we hauled out of here between cutting those trees down and trimming everything back. Most of this was hanging right over the grass. Over here is going to be bark mulch, but I may do something with stone because that is one of the drains. I don't really understand why they did some of the stuff they did when they put this lot together, but we're getting another load of crap here. Some of these bushes just ain't working out once you cut them back. They don't look that great. It's been sitting dormant for so long that there's hornets nesting about everything we've been trimming this morning, but that one bush is staying, everything else is popping out. All that stone's going to come out and get replaced with new stone. All these flowers, that one bush right there, I'm just going to hit with the hand snips real quick. All these flowers are coming out. This one on the corner I had to just cut off. I'll dig that out when we dig the stone out, but out back here there wasn't a lot of shrubs anyways. Anything that's here just gets beat to death by the rain. When it rains, the water that comes off this roof is incredible. I can see where they marked on the wall they're going to put an overhead door there, so we ripped everything there. I ripped it right out by hand. Nothing's rooted real well. You basically got about 2 inches of loom around the stuff they planted 20 something years ago, and it's never really grown out of its environment because of that. It really couldn't grow much. It was basically like a big knot of roots. But back here we're just popping. I'll show you my shovel I made up. But I welded that piece on there so you can get pretty aggressive with it, but that works pretty good. So that's the last shrub there in the front, and this one, and then after that we got to move over to the trees so you can see the stop sign and get them cleaned up a little bit. Then the biggest pain in the butt today will be that rhododendron that's out near the sign. We did this tree. This was probably one of the biggest messes. There was a lot of stuff that got broke off and 2 winters ago, and they just left it hanging in there. Some of it was good. We got to do a little bit over there, get the stop sign to show a little bit better. All these ones that are just out so far, the snow gets to them, we're going to try to get rid of. And then we just got to do that roadie that's around that sign, which is a pretty good undertaking by the looks. But I'm not getting crazy. We're just going to shorten it. I don't think we're going to take the girth from it that much. So, all right, we'll get to it. All right, this is load number 3. We decided to take those trees right out of there. They were just too busted up from the snow damage. That roadie in the back, there's enough of that. I think if we clean it up, it kind of looks like crap right now, but we'll add a couple bushes to that. I ain't sure what yet, but we're just gonna, next trip here, we'll blow that out, put a couple other shrubs in it. I'm gonna see what I got left over. I got a couple jobs I'm doing a bunch of tree stuff and shrubs on. Maybe whatever's left can come here, or I think I got to do one more order anyways. Every job I'm on keeps growing bigger and bigger, but I'm not going to complain about, you know, when you're doing adding trees, that's decent money. So this here he kind of just left open. He's trusting me. He said, I'm trusting you to make it look good again. But I guess you can see the sign now. So we didn't get to those 2 roadies over there. We'll get that next time we come clean this up. We're going to do one more probably 2-hour session here for the first phase of the job, and then we got to talk about what the next step is going to be. We're going to be calling it on this video. This is the first step I had to do, is just knock it down, see what we're going to save, not save. I weed whacked that just to get the hayfield down. That's just crap. Whoever did it the last couple winters used salt sand, is just blasted through that, killed the grass. That and the irrigation ain't been going here for a long time, but that's all going to be bark mulch. So, but I wanted to knock it down. I got all the flowers and ornamental grass taken out. There's a few shrubs that are there we're going to leave. They're going to be putting a garage door there. Would imagine they're going to be redoing this sidewalk too, but we'll see. But we got to dig out all that stone's coming out. It's just so full of organics for 20 something years that it's been there. We're going to dig it out. We are going to put stone again because of the roof line here. That water just comes down and blasts whatever's there, so we got to stick with the river rock. Down here again, we just pulled out all the flowers and whatnot. My wife's going to save some of them. Some of them were just so weeded up it ain't worth saving. We'll hit this one more time. Basically this round was just basically knocking things back to see what we could save and not save. That bush I trimmed back as far as I'm going to this year. I told him we had to knock them back, but I said let's see what they look like in the spring. I think he kind of just wanted to rip everything out, but that's big dollars to replace that with something that size again. Kind of looks different with everything ripped out. But I just thought we'd show, like I said, those bushes there. I don't know if my daughter can do it before and I'm pretty sure I must have a shot of what this looked like from the beginning. We still got to clean that up, but I've gone for the first step in money wise. I'm done tonight. We'll talk to see what he wants to do next. I believe we're going to be putting a bunch of trees out back on that other property line. The rhododendron that's left in there, I think that will actually grow and look decent. He wants grass, and he wants the grass that's here, he wants real nice. He just doesn't want a lot of it. Out here there was never irrigation. This is actually state property pretty much from that rhododendron there on, but again I keep it knocked down. When I kept care of this, I used to keep this knocked down. It just makes the whole place look better. This bark mulch out here probably hasn't been replaced in 7 years. I was the last one to do it, and it was at least seven years ago. Well, I think we're going to grub that out, get rid of the root system that's in it, and start over. But everything's trimmed back. I believe they came and serviced that generator. They wouldn't even touch that generator until things got trimmed back away from it. Got everything knocked back so we can see what's what now. I'm glad I did it too, because I dug into that stone tonight and there's about 8 inches of that stone in there, and it's a mix. It's the rotted leaves that have gone into it. There's loam where everything was planted. Other than that, it was like a clay, but there's probably 7 or 8 inches thick of rock in some places, and then the clay that's in there is it's like concrete. I dug a couple of places. Before I give them a price for that, I wanted to dig around, and I'm glad I did. That's going to be a pain in the butt to get that dug out. We'll see what happens, but that's all going to get grubbed out while I'm walking around. I think the next step we're going to be doing is, he owns all the way up to the top of that hill, but he doesn't want to deal with that property. So we're going to run a row of Christmas trees. We're going to dig into that, get rid of all this grass. Same thing, this is a good place to put snow in the winter. We're just going to take all the organics, go back, make a berm, do a row of trees, and then offset the trees in front. Do like a double berm that will give a property line. It'll kind of hide that crappy hill, basically, is what it's going to take. A year or two for them to grow. I could only find like 3 and 4 footers this year. I couldn't find enough 5 footers to do it. Matter of fact, I couldn't find enough of anything to do it all the way, but I'm going to do the best I can with what I found. But I believe this will be the part 2 of this, getting this scrubbed out and the trees put in. I want to do that anyways, because I got the trees sitting at my house and I'm sick of babysitting them already. I hope they get this building put together, because he wants me to plow again this winter, and it's going to suck if I have to plow around all this stuff. But again, it just looks kind of weird. All the flowers are gone. There's all kinds of weird bushes in here, ornamental grass, all stuff that would take a beating from the water coming off the roof. But I won't be surprised when he comes in if he doesn't tell me just to yank them evergreens. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to want to wait for something to come around. So another weird thing I'll show you is this is what my wife wanted to save. Her and my daughter are gonna, some of the ornamental grass, all the flowers. I mean, and that thing's freighted. Every little square inch has got a flower in it. So we're gonna call this video here. This is gonna be phase 1 of what we're doing here. There's probably gonna be about 8 videos by the time we're done on this job. Different phases we're gonna do. But we're gonna call this video here. And again, I'm gonna say, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. If you get any questions, don't be afraid to ask them. Thanks for watching.